Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Well, folks, welcome to another episode of the Soul Sessions. Of course, with me today, as you're always, your host, Soul. But with me today, well, this man appeared 2 years ago. How time has flown. But of course, he was, on a losing streak. He overcome that streak, and now he's filled with positive charge. Martin MacAlistair, welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back on. I was actually scrolling through social media, Instagram stuff the other day, trying to find out how long it's been since last time I was here. It has been a while.
It has been a while. To be precise, you appeared here last on the 15th of July, 2023.
There you go.
Yeah.
How
time has flown. I've got to obviously ask, Martin, how you been over these 2 years since your last appearance?
Yeah, brilliant. Really good. Really since then, it's been a bit of a journey in wrestling. So learned so much, done so much. Sure we'll dig into some of it in a bit more detail, but yeah, no, it's been an incredible year and a half or something. So looking forward to a brand new year.
Hey, brand new year, brand new everything, brand new environment. It's the part of the brand newest we love indeed. But of course, obviously, the big thing we have to talk about is you overcoming your losing streak and your winning of the Iron Girders title. Now, let's go into that. Let's roll back the footage, roll back the memories to the day of that, obviously, that moment for your career. Talk to me about that moment of becoming the champion and also, getting your first win.
Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal day. It really was. It was all kind of surprise. So it was, the match wasn't announced and so on. And yeah, just a really, really phenomenal time. I was lucky enough to, a few of my friends were there. Obviously, I'm friends with so many of the wrestlers now as well. They all came out to celebrate, and so many of the coaches and stuff, Iron Girders were there as well. So no, it's just it was unbelievable. It really was. It's something that I'll look back on fondly forever. You can see it in the photos from the day. I'm in tears for a lot of it. My wife was there as well, so I get to celebrate that with her. And funnily enough, the match itself went back up on Iron Clash on Girders YouTube page of the week. So went back and watched that recently, and it's quite emotional watching the end of it. You can see I get quite upset, so it was fun to be on the other side of that now, watching back. It was a brilliant day.
Hey, truly, man. And obviously, of course, you would go on to hold that belt for 161 days. That's a great accolade to have on your record as well. But looking through some of your title defense, there's one obviously I want to bring up was obviously you against Mark Haskins, former Progress World Champion. I mean, not many people can say that they defend their belt against a former Progress World Champion and still walk away the victor. I mean, let's go on about that, because obviously Mark, he's an incredible wrestler. I've had him on before, and his accolades speak for himself. But was that really the proving point for you as a champion when you go against somebody of that legacy?
100%. As soon as I found out before it got obviously officially announced, and from that time I found out it was everything's dialed in. It's I want to be the best possible me for that date. So not even before we got to the show, I was trying to prove myself to myself before we even got there that I was worthy. That is such a it was a really big moment in terms of, do I deserve this? You know what I mean? I think you have to ask yourself those questions when something like that comes up. For me, I'm a huge wrestling fan. That's why you get into wrestling in the first place. And so I'm a huge Mark Haskins fan before I even met him. I was trying not to let that cloud my judgment. And yeah, there's a lot on it. It was a main event. It was the first ever Girders over 18 show. And he was incredible in that match. He kicked the hell out of me, but I kept on defending the belt. It was a phenomenal learning experience, phenomenal time to like I said, the preparation behind it. Just the whole day was fantastic. And he also stuck about the next day for a seminar at Iron Girders as well. So that was great to learn from him twice in a row. Really incredible guy. There's Vicky as well. Massive shout out to her because she's incredible as well. The two of them are just a phenomenal package together. Just I can't speak the praises enough. I'm sure they don't need me to because they get all the praise in the world, but they are incredible.
Oh, hey, they're an iconic duo like CM Punk and AJ Lee, Jesse and James or Team Rocket. They are up there on the duo echelon. But obviously, your reign as well, you defend against the likes of Adam King, Shane Monet, and obviously Eddie Castle. But obviously, we have to talk about the end, because every story has an end, Martin. And obviously, your title reign would end at the hands of Luke Cairo.
Yep.
You know, Luke, I've seen his stuff around. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But obviously, there's a big story behind obviously Luke defeating you. How do you look at the end of your title reign, and then obviously reflecting back on what you did on those 161 days as the champion?
Yeah, obviously it has to come to an end. I was very sad. I think it was an amazing 161 days. You know, I was incredibly proud of what I achieved, and what happened in those days. I think changed the course of my career forever. I'll never forget them. And yeah, the match with Luke Cairo, I'd like to say the better man won, but there was a lot of cheating and fiascos in that match, and obviously led to Levi turning on me. But I've been chasing the belt ever since. But yeah, no, Luke Cairo's, you know, for all he snakes about and for all he cheats, he's an incredible competitor as well. He's been doing this for so many years. He's I don't know if he's deserving the belt, but I'm glad it's gone to someone like him. And yeah, it was phenomenal. Set a time for me. But it's in good hands, the belt now, and he's a fighting champion for all he does. There's a lot of bad stuff.
The kindness of a former champion. He has the professionalism. That's what we like to see as well. But obviously, while you were champion, I know you would travel around and go some places. But one, obviously, a place that I've heard of from many wrestlers I've had on is obviously PPW, a place that gives such great insight and is a great environment. Was it about PPW from yourself, Martin, from what you've experienced, that it's recommended highly among the wrestling scene in Britain?
Yeah, I think the welcoming attitude of the coaches and the other wrestlers, trainees, is what makes it huge, like a huge thing. Obviously, we've all seen their social media is incredible. I'll throw that up first of all, and I think that's obviously a thing that attracts people to trying it out for the first time. But we obviously, as wrestlers, you know, it's who can you learn from the most, and what's out there. And yeah, incredibly welcome bunch. When I trained there, it was a kid like us too that was training us, so it was incredible to learn from him. And also Nathan Black was there, and he is just like brilliant. Like he made a point of like making sure we were all happy and everything when we settled in. Just an incredible school. And if any wrestlers listening are on the fence about it, just go. Like it's worth the trip. It's just like a great setup as well. You know, I think we're quite lucky now in Scotland, especially, that we've got so many great training schools that have their own wrestling ring and their own setup, and you know, but that their space is just fantastic. It's like tons of different mats. They've got the wrestling ring. They've got like just a great space as well, which I think helps a lot in just making a place welcome. And the ring's fantastic. So yeah, no, all in all, just it was a great experience going down, and I'd love to go back, but I think I will pretty soon.
Oh, hey, there's nothing stopping you. Get yourself a V8 engine, get down there and get all the experience you can, sunshine. That's what you need indeed. But obviously, I want to bring it back to Scotland in general, our little island. Fantastic and craziness, because we've had quite a year in itself. Obviously, I think the big one is Clash at the Castle Scotland, that whole weekend. Good times, good times. I'm going to talk for yourself, Martin. How does it feel for yourself, obviously being a Scottish wrestler, to know that WWE, the biggest platform for wrestling, gave us a wee little accolade with our own little premium live event?
Yeah, no, it was an amazing weekend. I think all of us, like in Scottish wrestling, were a complete. There was such a buzz around it, you know, and I was lucky enough to go, which is cool. And it was phenomenal. I loved the show. But I think there's it's indicative of a bigger boom in Scottish wrestling just now, and you look up and down WWE especially just now, but all across, you know, obviously TNA as well now, and Scottish wrestlers are everywhere, and there's it's not a coincidence. It's not a fluke that there's Scottish wrestlers on every single wrestling show on TV. You know what I mean? It's the scene's incredible right now. There's incredible talent at the top of it. There's incredible talent coming through. You know, we've got talent trading The Rock. We've got, you know, talent on SmackDown, talent on Raw. It's an incredible time. You know, yeah, as I mentioned, TNA, Joe Hendry just won the the World Championship there as we're chatting. So yeah, just I think it was WWE's kind of acknowledgement to that almost in a way that like your scene is worthy of its accolades, and here's another one for you. Yeah, and they're obviously they come back to do is it Raw in a couple of months as well. So I don't think the Scottish scene's going away anytime soon, and this is just like another proof. Like we're everywhere right now.
Oh no, we ain't going anywhere anytime soon. No matter how many English people want us to go away into the archive, we ain't going anywhere, sunshine. We've got too many things to do at the moment. But obviously, what I really loved about the weekend was all the indie promotions doing shows from the likes of obviously Community Pro and Valor, Bleeding Gums, and 3WL, and then obviously ICW had After Hours, which was after Clash of the Castle and the SmackDown. Do you feel like obviously with the Raw coming up, because I know ICW have announced After Hours happening as well, do you feel like it's that real moment of like, okay, the biggest company's coming into the town, we've got to put our best foot forward and showcase what Scottish wrestling is? Do you feel like that really gives that drive to wrestling here in Scotland when they're coming here?
100%, and I think we do a good job of that. I got to say, like especially at ICW, do a great job of it, and every company that runs over the weekend, they know what they expected of them. They know that anyone can walk through those doors, and especially for ICW, they'll have anyone walk through those curtains. So it's in terms of big talent. So yeah, no, it's a big deal, and it's important now that there's so many eyes on us that it's been this way since ICW was on the WWE network, 5 years ago. But there's so many eyes on us right now, and it's important that we all put our best foot forward. I think all the time. I think especially when they're in that weekend, because that's when they're physically there. So it's time. Those are the weekends that really make a difference, and especially for upcoming wrestlers, these are the weekends that we have to really push our hardest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know the last After Hours show, a little somebody appeared. It was big old McIntyre. I had.
I was going to say not a little somebody, not a little man by any means.
No, by any means. I do not want to get spiked into the ground. I'm short enough as it is. I can't lose any more inches, right? But I had obviously Rob Drake, one half of Temple of Malin, talk about how he was backstage and he saw Drew and he was like, "Oh shit, this is crazy." But After Hours is coming again. Martin, if you could pick maybe any kind of WWE talent to maybe do a little surprise this year, who would you like to maybe show up at After Hours this year if you could?
I mean, I don't want to just say John Cena because that's just my default answer for everything. But I'd love Punk to put his head in the door at ICW. Like it always feels like he is that kind of the same embodiment of that attitude. That I don't use the word edginess, but it is that kind of different. Punk's got that punk attitude. He's a different kind of guy from every other wrestler, and I think ICW is a different type of promotion from every other promotion when it comes to that kind of attitude as well.
Yeah, fair point. Hey, if the Punk wants to show up, just don't do it in a Celtic talk because we don't need any more craziness happening there at the night. Come on now, man. That was a bad. Oh God. In the back. Put it back. Cannot focus on that. But obviously, I know you've done some backstage work for ICW over the couple of bits have we since last talk. And I've had obviously people who've been a part of ICW from the likes of Molly Spartan, obviously Daisy Jenkins, and just talking about, how this resurgence of ICW is coming with just the talent and obviously the caliber of shows they're putting on. What's been your most favorite moment behind the scenes of ICW where you've worked and it's been a match in the ring that you were like, I was just going to leave the desk and just watch, or, something that's happened? Because one that immediately comes to mind is I really loved that Rio and Lana Austin match in the steel cage. I thought that was fantastic. But what about yourself, Martin? Any particular moments?
Personally, for me, Kez Evans returned recently. Kez is a phenomenal wrestler and a phenomenal person. To see him come back in ICW it's like it's huge. He's been missed while he's been away. To see him come back in such a being featured in such a prominent way, I think that's a big deal to me anyway. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does. He's going to be in Square Go. ICW, I think, is a phenomenal thing, obviously, and but I think they missed Kez Evans, and Kez Evans is exactly what they need.
No, hey, absolutely. A missed guy, he's an absolute talent. He's done so much on ICW before. Bring him back, and who knows where that could lead to. But obviously, the Square Go is an interesting one because the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Thon Latimer, is coming over. I mean, that that's kind of insane. Obviously, ICW in the past have had like the NXT UK Women's Championship on the card, but this is the NWA World Heavyweight. This is a championship that goes back eons before I was a sparkle in my dad's eye. This goes back until the days of the 1940s. Like liver pie was something on the menu you would see every day. Like this is history. How much do you think this means for the Scottish wrestling team to have the NWA World Heavyweight Champion in ICW?
Yeah, it's really huge. It's really incredible. I think just kind of going back to what I was saying about Raw, and it's a proclamation that we're doing the right thing as a scene. It's the proof that ICW is doing the right thing. That they can attract that kind of talent that wants to win. Squiggle. He's an incredible talent. Like you said, the belt itself, the history behind it, the history behind NWA is just phenomenal. To have him representing that and coming into the Squiggle I'm actually at a loss of words to describe it, because when it first got announced, I couldn't believe. Like, I went and closed the app and opened it back up in case I was seeing things like a proper like cartoon squinting the eye and all that. Like, it was it's such a huge announcement, and it means so much to the scene.
Hey, absolutely. Hey, with AI all around, Martin, you can't trust any posts going around. You have to always double check your work. You never know. Obviously, somebody you brought up earlier we have to talk about is John Cena. Obviously, first of all, I know you were at Money in the Bank when he surprisingly appeared in the UK. Obviously, I wasn't there. I was home. I was too poor from WrestleMania 39, so I couldn't attend. Sadly, ring the bell of defeat. But for you, obviously, you're such a huge fan of him, and that surprise element as well. I want to know your feelings and thoughts on that moment, because nobody expected it.
No. You've probably seen the video that I always post up when other stuff happens to John Cena, but I just burst into tears when it happened. And like, without so John Cena is my favorite wrestler, but without John Cena, I never would have became a wrestler. And my wrestling changed my life forever. I'll always be very open about that. And so without John Cena, I have no idea where I'd be just now. Like, it's as simple as that. Without him, my life veers off in a totally different direction. So to have that moment of surprise, like I've been saying to people since, but like, there'll never be another moment like that for me in wrestling, because it was it couldn't be anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has like their favorite wrestler, and if like there's tons of wrestlers that would have been cool to see, but if it wasn't him, I would never have had that reaction with anyone else. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping to be going to WrestleMania this year to see his last match. But that won't even that won't be the same emotion, because I'll be expecting it. So it was really incredible. I think it was one of the few moments in my entire life where I've just burst into tears like that, out of happiness. But I was just speechless. And it was funny, because when it first sort of his music starts playing, I'm like looking around the arena, because at first I'm like, this is probably like an advert for like a show coming up, and then it's not, and I'm like, oh no, it's probably then Austin Theory doing some kind of wind up, and oh no, wait, it's not. And then as soon as it dawned, as soon as I saw him, I was like, that's him. No one else has a silhouette of John Cena. So yeah, it's really. It was special for me, and there'll probably never be another moment in wrestling like that for me. But that's, if anything, it was more proof of like what we do as wrestlers, and what wrestling's about is so special. So it kind of, in a cheesy way, even motivated me even more to keep trying, because there will never be another moment like that for me. It was unbelievable.
No. Do you think it also adds to the statement of, well, that there's a lot of surpriseness that's missing from wrestling, of being truly shocked and genuinely like, oh, this is happening?
Yeah, I think so. But I think there's a bit of both to this, because obviously, I don't want to say we're adding to it right now, but there's a bit of like, you can just not read spoilers sometimes. So like, just to give it a random example, is one of my favorite animes is My Hero Academia, and the manga has finished now, and people are like, oh, the ending's terrible and all this, but they read the ending first and worked their way back. Like, no, not saying the ending was great, but I don't know what the ending is yet, so I'm still waiting. So like, yeah, I think we have to maybe be quite careful with spoilers, in terms of like, Yeah, I think there's an element of surprise missing, but I do think we are also partly to blame. I don't want to blame ourselves, but so many of us spend so much time on the internet looking at things. I've started unsubscribing from a lot of gossip YouTube channels just to try avoid spoilers because I don't want to know. I want to be surprised.
Yeah, well, if I ever post spoilers, I'll go to internet jail for a week or something like that. I could use the vacation. Why no? Of course, obviously with Cena, the big thing this year is it's the last one. The last time is now. Obviously, it was announced at Money in the Bank in Toronto last year that last Chamber, last Rumble, last Mania, and then the last match. First off, obviously, I have to ask, as such a big fan, when you hear that, when you know the time's coming, how do you react as such a passionate fan of Cena?
It's funny, really. It means a lot that it's happening, obviously, but I'm very devastated that it's happening. But in the same way, it's good in a way that this is like a dedicated. He's got his dedicated focus on. Here's a few months where it's all happening, and I actually really think that's a really cool run for a wrestler to be able to do that. So many wrestlers don't get the opportunity to say goodbye. So many wrestlers, stop with one day, they just never get a chance to wrestle again. That's pretty common in wrestling, unfortunately. And a lot of wrestlers, obviously, don't want to say they go on too long, but a lot of wrestlers go way past their peak and have to try find other ways of wrestling. Obviously, we've seen he's obviously he's getting older now. He's not young forever, but he's still in phenomenal shape. He still moves really well. So it's great that he's able to do this run where he is still John Cena. You know what I mean? It's not like he's a shadow of his former self or something. So obviously I'm going to be devastated. And obviously it's extremely sad to know that this is the last bit coming up, but in a way it's really cool to get a chance as a wrestler to do this. To see a wrestler that I look up to so much do this and get to share this moment, I think that's really, really cool.
No, hey, absolutely. And no matter what, I think Cena's career, when you look back on it, will be one of the most legendary ones in all of professional wrestling. But of course, Martin, there's the thing we have to obviously bring up. We've got the Royal Rumble. We've got WrestleMania. Cena wants the 17. But what belt should it be for the 17? Should it be Gunther's World Heavyweight or Cody Rhodes and his WWE Championship? Martin, come on. What do you think? Give me your thoughts. Come on now. Which belt? Which belt are we going for?
I would love to see wrestle Gunther. I feel like that's one of those matches that would just be a next level. Obviously, him versus Cody would be incredible as well. But I think there's something to be said against a guy like Gunther of just this magnitude of a man that he is, this mountain, this just freak of nature against John Cena. I think that's such a great story, and I think it's such a great one. Obviously, there's a lot to say for Cody Rhodes. I love Cody Rhodes as well. Maybe I just don't want him to fight. Maybe I just want maybe I want everyone just to be friends. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think I would love to see that. I think that would be a really, really big match. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone if there's any other wrestler that could be holding the belt by then. But I think Cena Gunther would be an incredible match. Now, the more I think about it, the more I'm I really want to see that.
Well, Martin, there's Saturday night's main event. Maybe Kevin Owens will trip Cody Rhodes off the ladder and bring the Winged Eagle to Vegas. I don't know. That's the unpredictability of professional wrestling. But obviously, you mentioned earlier you're wanting to go to WrestleMania 41. It's in the city of Las Vegas. But then ticket prices, oh, good lord. I don't know if you've bought your tickets yet, but have you looked at it and thought, is that justified to break the bank?
I do have to go. I'm gonna be going. I haven't bought my tickets yet. I've been looking at them for a few days now, and I've been kind of hoping and waiting to see if the exchange rate changes at all. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know anything about money. In terms of how that stuff works. No, yeah, it is a lot of money. But these, I'm not sure. My justification is always, how would I feel if I missed out? And I know if I missed out on that, I would regret it. It's it's a huge moment. Half this podcast is just me talking about how much I love John Cena so far. So, you know what I mean? If I missed it, I would never forgive myself. I also went to Vegas when I was a bit of a younger man, so it'd be nice to go back. It's a bit more mature and see how I get on there.
Ooh, the city of sin. You never know what desirables will happen in there. But obviously, one great thing about WrestleMania weekend is obviously there's many other things going on. GCW got the Collective. I know the British Deathmatch promotion Rise is going over for a show. There's so much going on there as well. Is there anything on your list that you would also like to attend, or will your bank account be truly in the negative from Mania itself?
Nothing specific yet, but I'd love to just try work with people in terms of like any schools that open, any seminars that are on. Just get my hand in the, and get in front of people. Meet as many people as I can, train with as many people as I can. Wrestling's a learning game. I'm a big believer in like the more you can do it, the better you get at it. It's really that simple. So I'd love to just get the opportunity to wrestle in front of more people and train with anyone that's there.
Hey, fair point. Always take every learning opportunity you can, because it will develop your character and it will reward yourself in the future. Something you got to take. Now, obviously, Martin, I know you've been busy as well, going around, obviously, to OTT, and, I had somebody on the show that had an encounter with you. He tried to introduce you to a carnivore diet, but you didn't bite. You didn't bite. You stuck your ground. Obviously, as the tailor-made man, James Taylor, he shared his side of the story, and I want to give you the platform to share your side of the story on him trying to convince you to indulge the carnivore.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say, if I'm honest. Great guy. Apart from I was going to say putting his foot in his mouth, but I'm not sure that's the right phrase for it. But yeah, that was a incredible weekend at OTT. And we'd never encountered each other before. We got the team together on the Contender show, and I'm really grateful for him. He was really great on that show. Apart from, like I said, the meat thing, we will put that behind us. But next time we see each other, we'll be back on good terms, hopefully. But yeah, no, he was great, and I was really thrilled to be involved with that show. That whole weekend was phenomenal. And yeah, I'd love to work for OTT again, but I'd also like to see Mr. Taylor again. We'll see what we can get up to. Maybe I can convince him to swap to vegan this time. We'll see what happens.
Martin, there's many battles throughout history that have been fought and won. This one, I don't think you're gonna win, son. I commend the effort. I commend the effort because the planet is a big old place, but I think, especially in your mind, there's only one planet that matters, and that's Planet A. Obviously, I like my segues. I think I'm pretty damn good at it. You and Ellie Armstrong have got quite a duo going on around here. So I'd love to know the origins of this. What's the origin of Planet A?
Yeah, so me and Ellie are good friends. Me and Ellie, and we've trained together so much, and we've worked together a lot. And you don't get many other people who are vegan or don't eat meat in wrestling in general. Obviously, you get quite a few famous ones, Daniel Bryan and the likes, who had that phenomenal Planet's Champion of WWE with the belt and all that. So we're inspired a lot by that kind of thing. And when we both found out we're going to be working in CPW a lot, it was like a great opportunity to explore a different side of us and get that in front of people. And yeah, I think I'm very lucky to have found someone like her that we can bounce off of really easily. And I think we work quite well together. And yeah, hoping now that this is something we're going to start, bringing on the road. We really want to, really enthusiastic to share our message, I guess, across as much wrestling as possible. But you get very few mixed tag teams nowadays. So it'd be cool, especially with women's wrestling has such a big boom, and so many like intergender matches happen. Like we're as just a viable tag team as anyone else. So I'm just really excited to take that on the road and get in front of as many people as possible. Because I think people need to know there is no Planet B, that we are Planet A.
Hey, Marion, if they don't listen, there's always the good method of taking a book and trying to drill the information directly into the cerebral cortex. It's a valiant effort. But you mentioned intergender tag teams. Robert Drake, someone I mentioned before, he would love to win the Progress tag titles with Lana Austin. And also we've seen Charles Crowley and Alexis Falcon hold the belts. We've obviously got Effie and Ali Katch that are Bussy in GCW. Do you think in the modern landscape that tag team wrestlings and tag team championships will switch to a more intergender focus?
I think there's always going to be a mix. I think it's depending on the show. It's always going to be depending on the show. It's always going to be depending on people's comfort levels, depending on like family values and stuff at the time. I think there's always going to be a bit of shakiness on that. Obviously, you get a lot of promotions that are really successful doing intergender matches. Obviously, Iron Girders do it. You know, the Disco in Scotland, obviously, very famous for it. I think it's just one of those things that's going to come in and out as various promotions see fit. But I'd love for it to be more, you know, more intergender tag teams, more genderless belts, because why not at this point? You know, it's wrestling doesn't have weight classes. I don't see why it should have gender splits, especially when there's people of all shapes and sizes on every roster. You know, it's as viable as anyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, hey, absolutely. I mean, you and Ellie, CPW tag team champions, that'd be quite a good image. And those belts, they kind of look like an A already. So you've got it. It's in the stars, my friend. You search for it and it will come reality. But obviously, you know, there's always the dream match, the desirables. You know, is there a particular intergender tag team or a male and a female wrestler that you want to pair up and face as Planet A?
I think obviously all the ones that you already mentioned. But obviously there's people like Emerson Jane and Disc Discovery. Not an intergender team, but we've chatted and you know, thought about Skull Brawl would be how great a match that would be for us, and they're two that we'd love to face. And obviously close to home, we've got like Moxie's Misfits, the Moxie crew, as they're known. Like Moxie Mill and whatever one of her many buddies want to join up with her. So there's so many people we'd love to wrestle, both intergender and two single stars either. Oh, sorry, two men or two women. We don't mind. We'll fight always.
Making words, but be careful though. Them skull brawls, they stapled me. You know, they stapled me and they hurt my tie. So I'm just saying, have a plate of sheet under recyclable metals, of course, underneath, just to be on the safe side, because you can never obviously be prepared for that. But obviously, you know, you've worked backstage for other shows. Obviously, I've seen you at Power Pro as well, and they've got a lot of great stuff going on. The seminars they've been putting on, the likes of Mark Andrews being there. You obviously mentioned about, you know, wrestling's always a learning game, and it's always striving to go and find those learning opportunities. Is there any particular, you know, seminars in that you want to kind of have? You know, is there any kind of UK talent that you really want to pick the brain of?
I know PWR are doing a seminar with D. Mark coming up, and that's a huge one for me. He's a huge influence on me, that kind of very British wrestling style. He's a great talent for that. So I'd love to get in front of him, just learn from him, and just I know obviously Lycos Gym have been doing a lot of seminars as well together. They're a fantastic duo. Like I said, I've learned a wee bit from Lycos too before, but I'd love to, you know, learn from both of them at once. But yeah, just anyone it's been about. One guy that I've wrestled before, but I'd love to attend one of the seminars would be LJ Clay as well. I wrestled him before he got all his opportunities in Japan, and now he's off to the States for a few months, I think, according to his booking. So yeah, I'd very much love to learn from him again to get the opportunity.
Hey, fair dues. You got to take those opportunities, and obviously you've been traveling quite a fair bit as well, and over these years, because you've been to Japan recently, or was that a few months ago, or is my time frame really bad because time is flying bad?
About 6 months ago now, but yeah, that was purely a holiday though. I didn't get any wrestling out there. I would have loved to, but I think sometimes it's also important to switch off entirely from wrestling. It is an all-encompassing thing when I'm home. And I did have that wee debate when I was packing my suitcase of, I probably could put wrestling boots in and see what happens, but I didn't want to. It's one of the first big holidays my wife had in a long time, so I didn't want to take time out of a viable holiday to chase wrestling shows.
Yeah, you don't want to have her open up the case and be like, "What the fuck is this?" And be like, "Oh, it's just in case. You never know." But yeah. I think the great thing about obviously traveling is, you know, sometimes you do have to switch off. You know, you can't be into something all the time. You may love it, but rest period, I feel like, is always good to take, and it will always still be there when you come back. So on the traveling side, is there any other countries you like to visit as a little vacation to see the culture, sites, or just take in that atmosphere?
Yeah, me and my wife are off to I think we're planning a trip to the Dolomites in Italy coming up. So she's like really big on hill walking and stuff, and I'm not quite as good as she is, but I'll try my best to keep up with her. So yeah, we're off to do that. I think that'll be brilliant. Totally different like shift, very relaxed, very peaceful kind of hill walking and stuff. So that'll be good. It'll still be very active. So we don't holiday where we sit down very often, but it will be good just to switch the brain off. It's a different type of relax.
Absolutely. I mean, if you could do me a favor and steal a couple of vineyards, I kind of need that stuff. But that's just very nice and tasty for me. But you probably won't get that back through customs because you can't, sadly. But hey, digressing on that point. Obviously, Iron Girders is your real bread and butter, your home, and you mentioned obviously Iron Clash TV earlier in this interview. For people who may not be familiar, obviously, what Iron Clash TV is, just to share us a wee brief synopsis on what it is.
Yeah, basically we realised that we've been filming so many shows and just wanted to get it out there. We're very lucky that Scottish Wrestling Network, Billy was able to give us commentary, so he's been able to commentate over matches. And we've basically just been going through and re-uploading a bunch of the important matches and big matches that have happened throughout the history of Iron Girders. He's been commentating on. I think it's just been a really good opportunity to get that footage out there. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun for me going back and watching some of these big moments. I've been at, I think, every single Iron Girders show, so it's nice for me to relive those moments. But there's some phenomenal matches and phenomenal talent on those shows, all at the Iron Girders YouTube. So yeah, I highly recommend if you've not checked any of them out, go have a wee look.
Hey, absolutely. Iron Girders on YouTube. If you can't find it, obviously the Iron Girders Instagram page, and obviously Iron Girders Talents will, of course, share it as well, folks. Definitely give it a check out. And it just adds to the greatness of Scottish culture. Obviously, one of the big thing I think for Scottish culture is obviously the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and the exploration of art and high ticket prices and the high tourists and the high prices. That's the digressing for an Edinburgh resident, not many of that points. But one of the things I really loved was Mythos Ragnarok.
Yes.
Oh God, how amazing was that? Obviously, Molly Spartan, Daisy Jenkins were a part of it from the local scene. You saw it as well, Mara, didn't you?
Yeah, I loved it. It blew my mind how good it was, and it was almost like watching. I don't know how your experience of it was, but for me, it felt like watching wrestling for the first time all over again. Like it tapped into that part of the brain. You're like, I genuinely don't know what's happening next. Like everything's phenomenal, and it was amazing as well to witness for me, when we were there, it was such a big crowd of people that had never watched wrestling. Like, so many people that were just kind of there for the fringe, just kind of there because they thought it looked funny, or I think a lot of people pick a venue at the fringe. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it looks like I'm not a big fringe goer, so I should say I usually just pick a show and I'll go to the show rather than just go to the fringe, you know what I mean? But like they were selling tickets as we got there. I think it was a sellout show. It was brilliant to see that moment of like, so people realising what's happening and like suddenly being into it and cheering and whooping and shouting. It was I've never seen a show like it. I don't think there is a show like it. It was incredible. And obviously I'm a bit biased because of my friends being in it and stuff, but it was, never seen anything like it. I thought it was unbelievable. What a production they've made.
Absolutely. I saw it as well, and I truly fell in love with it. I thought it was just so fun and fresh as well, and there really is nothing like it as well. And you see it as well with the audience. They're mostly fringe goers there for festive arts or expensive food or whatever. And when you see wrestling stuff within it, like even like the intergender stuff, they're like, there's people that are like, whoa, because like if they elbow a lassie, but then the lassie gets to come back, everybody goes, hey, it's like that's working the crowd element. I remember Molly had the guy playing Loki going into the crowd and was like making nobody make the tag, somebody make the tag. Bad idea. But do you feel like with maybe the fringe coming back, even if it's not Mythos Ragnarok, that there is a place for wrestling at the fringe?
100%. I think anytime there's that kind of theatre, I think wrestling's always belongs there. Like I said, Mythos is a special kind of show where it's totally different from anything else you'll see in wrestling, but I don't see any reason that wrestling can't be there. And I think as well, a lot of wrestling talent should be at the fringe, whether it's Obviously, Billy Kirkwood had a bunch of shows there. There's things like Dungeons and Dragons, various games of that gets played. There's and I think there's so many venues, so many theaters that it's a shame there isn't wrestling. I understand that it's obviously expensive to hire. I know a lot of, for wrestling especially, you have to have a certain size venue, a certain size stage, and it is complicated and so on and so forth. But I think Mythos Ragnarok prove that wrestling does belong there. Like I said, I know it's a very different type of show, very special, but there's no reason I don't think that a normal wrestling company couldn't at least try something.
Aye, absolutely. And Mythos, obviously it's Ragnarok, so it's Norse mythology, but there's so many other mythologies out there. Is there a particular mythology you like to see Mythos tackle in the future?
Egyptian. I had a big obsession. I think every kid in Scotland got taught Egyptian history in school, and it was like a wee point where like every kid gets obsessed with it. That was me. So yeah, I'd love to see some of that.
Oh, if they can get Brendan Fraser in, we can have the Mummy 4, and I'll take that. I'll take that as my fair play for that point. It's truly the joyousness of what Scottish wrestling is going on right now from all walks of life. Mark, do you feel like 2025 is the proving point for Scottish wrestling worldwide? With obviously, Iron Girders on Clash TV, Triller's got ICW in the backlog of catalog of content coming out on there as well. You have obviously Bleeding Gums on IWTV. You have Power Pro or advertising more on social media. Do you feel like this is the year for Scottish wrestling to prove itself on a worldwide basis?
100%. I think we're going to. I think it's also with WWE coming onto Netflix. Like there's going to be a shift of the amount of people watching wrestling, the amount of people that are going to casually know what wrestling is now. Certainly, a lot of wrestling companies in Scotland, I think all of them will, we run various shows at like gala days. It'll be like with Iron Girders does the Comic Cons, for example. These kind of shows are only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and as people who are casually interested in wrestling now know about it, they understand it more as Netflix, introduced them to it. So I think this is the biggest year yet. I think Netflix, it'll be a game changer in terms of how many people will understand wrestling, how many people want to watch it, how many people want to pay for it. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to get bigger than this. And it's up to us to seize the moment.
Seize the moment and lead the charge, my friend. That's what we got to do. Obviously, Lauren, it's been great to have you back on after all this time, and my mind's still intact. I've not got grey hair yet. I'm happy on that point. So obviously, two final questions before we go. Obviously, you mentioned you would love to see Cena dethrone Gunther for the World Heavyweight, but there will be an end and Cena's last match. Is there an opponent in mind you'd like to see Cena have his last match against?
See, I've had this thought in my head since the whole thing was announced. Like, who would I love to see? Who would I love to see? I don't know. There's so many phenomenal talent in WWE right now. And obviously there's like a nostalgia factor of, you'd love it to be Edge, or you'd love it to be CM Punk, or you'd love it to be someone, one of those. But like at the same time, there's so many people on that roster that are incredible that you'd love to see it be. So I genuinely, this is going to sound like the worst answer ever, but I have no idea. And I think I'd be happy with like so many people, because I don't know how it will end. Obviously, he fought solo quite often across the sort of the matches and stuff. And he's great now, and I don't know. I genuinely can't name one person. I've been, like I said, it's been in my head since it got announced. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And I'm no closer to solving the riddle now than I was back then.
Or I mean, JBL's been clotheslining people all around the country. Maybe it's JBL one more time. I mean, whoa. That could be a Netflix main event right there. That's going to be the ticket sale. Now, Martin, obviously, one final question, my friend. ICW Square Do, it's an opportunity. We've seen people enter it from all walks of life. And let's say you get into the Square Go and you win it and you can become ICW World Champion. I want to know, would you make the ICW World Champion a spinner or a hemp belt like Daniel Bryan?
I love this question. This is one of these things. So, both those belts have like huge parts of my life for two different reasons. And I've never thought about, have we ever done a hemp spin about? Has anyone ever done that before?
See, Martin, there's history makers, and you're one of them, my friend. You're dreaming big. You're think about it. All the replicas you could be selling. You promote your message. Planet A's on top. Heck, have Ellie Armstrong get the women's belt. It'll be your planet, my friend. You'll be running it.
That's the dream.
Oh, that's the dream, mate. And you'll be leading an absolute positive charge in it, indeed, my friend. Well, folks, it's been great to have Martin back here. And of course, if you love what you've heard of him, I'll include his Instagram link. Language, come on now, work the tongue. Instagram link down below. I'm getting old. Then you can click that, follow his journey, and see what he gets up to. And of course, remember to check out Iron Girders on their YouTube channel, see the shows, and see what's going on up there, because there's a great thing going on. Well, folks, as I say as a Scotsman, finish up your drink, put your chair away, and thank you as always for tuning in for another episode of the Soul Sessions.
Now I'm out the human too. Gonna live like animals do. No more laws and no more rules.